Well, good morning, West Ham fans. So I guess it's time for me to say my bit. Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. Hope we've decompressed a bit, and we've got another week to go. And then we got over a week now, haven't we, to the next game. We play Brentford at the London Stadium a week today. So who knows what the atmosphere is going to be like there? Let's be honest. It turned very obviously rightly so. It's turned very toxic over the last few games, particularly away games, and that's surprising. Usually the away fans have a little bit more not patience, but they tend to they don't tend to. I don't know, be as reactionary maybe to home fans potentially. I don't know. It just seems that way. And we had a similar situation last year, wasn't it? Was it the Fulham game when the banners came out and things like that, and the songs and yeah, it's not a great time. It's not a nice time when you feel that comes, as a fan base, you have to get to that point where you've got to sort of chant your boss out. Which isn't great. But we've had Alf, we've had Anton, we've had everyone's had their say, and I thought, you know what, it's probably time for me to have my say, and we have sort of alluded to it somewhat in the last sort of few days. I've spoken about the need to not consider, but the need to actually, regardless of what we say as fans, we don't make that decision, and we went through some of the numbers as well. And I've been listening to lots of different people. I like to listen, because I have my own opinion, but I like to listen to other people say, and that might influence my own opinion. It might strengthen my opinion or that type of thing. For me, you've seen the thumbnail. No direction. We don't have a direction at the moment. The wheels have truly fallen off this season. It seems for me, we lack direction. We lack leadership. That's a key thing for me this season, both off the bench and on the pitch as well. I can't see us. I can't. I'll talk about the leadership on the pitch that in a bit, because that to me is crucial. At the moment, we're lacking any sort of form of creativity. We're lacking any defensive awareness. We're lacking any heart. We're lacking any passion. And when you put all those together, you're thinking, what is there left? And there isn't much at the moment. We look rudderless. We look like a rudderless ship. And I said it yesterday. No, not yesterday, Saturday rather, on the watch along and the after show. We look like we are sleepwalking through this season. We look like we're daydreaming through the rest of the season. Proverbial on the beach. That's what we seem to be having in a situation where there's still so much to play for. And not just from a professional standpoint, but from a business standpoint as well, in terms of European qualification, Premier League, positions. That impacts hugely on the money side, which surprises me, in all honesty, because we should be in a situation where we want to be riding as high as we can in the Premier League, going as far as we can in the Europa League, because it just brings more money. So even if you're looking at it from a business perspective, at the moment, West Ham is costing the board money. We were 6th, now we're 9th, so that's 3 points dropped. So that's about £7.5 million dropped. That to me should be enough to. It should just be enough. I mean, I said, we'll find out soon who we're going to be drawn against in the next round of the Europa League. And there are some massive teams in there, some teams that we are linked with in terms of their managers. The likes of Ruben Amorim from Sporting Lisbon, the likes of Rogers is Benfica, I think Roger Schmidt's there. No, Braga's there. The likes of, obviously, if you get past the last 16 stages, then you've got Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso's. Then you've got Jurgen Klopp in the last season at Liverpool. You've got Brighton in there in the mix as well. So, I honestly think that we will not progress past the last 16. And if we do that, we are definitely not progressing from the quarterfinals. We're just not in the right frame of mind. And if that's the case and we get knocked out of Europa League, what next? What next for West Ham? Because at the moment we can't really fall back on our strong Premier League form because we haven't got it at the moment. What can we, what's there to play for? And there is a lot to play for. It's not a dead season if we get knocked out of Europe. We're currently 9th. We're 2 points behind Brighton in 7th. We've got, obviously, there's Newcastle in between us. We're probably we're about 8 points clear, 8 points behind Man United. But that 7th or 8th position, 8th could easily be Europa Conference next season if Liverpool win the League Cup, the Carabao Cup. So for me, Europe is still a possibility. It is still a possibility. The season, apart from the top, say, 4 or 5 sides, even the top 4, say, everyone below that, no one seems to want to run away with it in terms of Europa League qualification and Europa Conference League qualification. For me, there's still so much to play for, but it doesn't seem like, I just don't understand what's going on. I just don't get my head around it. We've lost so many games so heavily this season. And for some reason, despite that, we're still in touching distance of a European place. And yet we still try. And we don't seem to be trying in terms of progressing with our Premier League process this season in terms of the campaign. If that's the case, we put all our eggs in the basket into the Europa League. If that is, I don't know. Obviously, the reason why we're guessing is we did a similar thing last year when it was a lot more of a dire situation in the Premier League. I think it's completely flawed this season. I think if this season was very different to last season in terms of the Conference League, we were one of the favourites. We won it and we did, and that was at detriment of our Premier League success last season. If we had lost that, I think there would be a different situation in terms of the management situation, in honesty, in the summer that's just gone. However, if we're assuming that we're going to go into a situation like we did in the previous seasons, when we were in the Europa League and got through to semi-finals, this is vastly different. The caliber of sides now in the Europa League is vastly improved than the last time we were in the Europa League. And, although we can't be drawn against Bayern Leverkusen, they haven't lost all season. You know what I mean? In a very competitive league. Sporting Lisbon, they play a phenomenal. We're in them more. We have a field day against us at the moment, particularly with our lack of defensive nous, and our lack of creativity up top. I know we're waiting for Paqueta to come. I almost said Payet because I remember the similar situation under Bilic where we were pretty toothless, in all honesty, if we're looking at it subjectively, and when Payet was injured. And when he came back, we were crying for him off the bench. Was it Everton? I think it was. He came off the bench. But as I said, we don't have any direction. There's no obvious style of play we're playing to at the moment. If we're playing the low block, it's not working. If we're playing defensive football, we've conceded 12 goals. No, 11 goals in the last 3 games. We've let Sheffield United score a couple of goals against us. Bournemouth, we haven't scored for 3 games. So even our star power up front's not working either. We just seem to where, as I said previously, the reason, it is a results-based business. That is the bread and butter, unfortunately, of football. But even when, and the results would somewhat mask the performances, and agreed, we walk out of the games, how did we win that one? We won, but we weren't great. And there was always the but. We won the game, or but we got a good draw out of that game, and but we, when you haven't got that but, and we like big buts and they cannot lie, and those big butts aren't there no more, are they? When the performances and the results aren't going your way, that's 2 big butts. But it's the lack of the performance which is worrying me. The lack of desire on the pitch. That's what worries me. And the professional integrity as well of the manager and also the players, both sides. I've spoken about my concerns about Kurt Zouma as a captain. Even at the beginning of the season, I thought it was a poor appointment, I'll be honest. He's not a captain. He's not a West Ham captain. The reaction, when the 4th goal against Arsenal last in the week before last, I think he went, did we on the touchline, did 60,000 or the 60,000? Yeah, they hadn't left just then. Did the 50,000 fans, 55,000 fans, West Ham fans went, oh, well. No, we were angry. We were frustrated. Thousands walked out. Thousands switched off their millions probably switched off their telly as well at 4-0 down. We don't want that. We want. I was talking to my dad yesterday, and he's 70 years old. And he said, he went, we miss someone like Craig Dawson. We miss someone like Declan Rice on that pitch. We miss someone like Mark Noble on that pitch. And we do. For all the creative, beautiful players we've got and the fantastic players we brought in, we haven't got anyone who just wants to. We might have them in them. Maybe they're shackled because they're not the captain. Maybe Edson Alvarez could be our captain. Maybe I know he's only on a loan spell, but at least Calvin yesterday. Saturday. Sorry, I'm getting my days mixed up because I thought it was a Sunday for playing on Saturday. At least Calvin Phillips, yes, he got sent off for 2 yellow cards, but what were the yellow cards? One was trying to move the game forward and was just frustration, and one was trying to win a ball. We don't, I watched, a true captain, even if it doesn't affect the players on the pitch, from the fans' perspective, we want someone, that fourth goal went on against Arsenal the other day. I want a captain to literally point and shout at people, show that they care. I'm not saying they don't care, but we can't see it. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going behind the scenes or whatever. There was no captain interview. To give 41 credit, every game, he gave the interview. Win, lose, or draw, he gave the interview. And obviously, the first half of the season last year, there was a lot of losses. He gave the interviews. I've seen Areola give interviews. I haven't seen Kurt Zouma give the interviews. Why not? He's our club captain. If you want someone to give you a rallying cry, I don't want Vladimir Sufala apologising on Instagram for a performance. I want Kurt Zouma, our captain, say, look, we're going to sort this out. We're going to sort this out, or something like that, And then when you've got what happened yesterday on Saturday night with the press conference and post-match, and then, in terms of what Moyes said, why antagonise the fan base already? I don't get it. Yes, you're probably frustrated. Yes, you're probably embarrassed to have. It's probably not nice sitting there and you get banners saying you're going to, Moyes out and I'm getting sacked in the morning. But there's, for someone with so much experience in the game, he's gaslit a massive fun. Get angry. A massive area of the fan base. So what happens on next Monday? So we go one down. Either Tony scores. It's going to turn nasty. People are going to start chanting for him out again. And 60,000, not a 3,000, not a small away allocation, but a whole audience will, a whole attendance will, or a high percentage. That's not good for anyone. It's not good for a new manager coming in either, knowing how the fan base can turn toxic if things don't go their way. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. We want to show someone. We want to see fight. If you're trying and it's not working, I think West Ham fans are big enough and old enough and ugly enough to give you benefit of the doubt. If you're trying, you can see it. We've spoken about Tommy Souček. For me, he epitomises his work ethic. He keeps going. Doesn't matter what he gets thrown at him, he'll keep going. He'll never stop. He's like one of those old, those old pickup trucks. Doesn't matter how you bash it up, he'll keep going. Yes, he's not the most talented player on the pitch. He will admit that. Yes, he's not the most gracious player when he's got the ball, but he will put his body on the line for the club. And that's what we want. This is a situation now where you've got to roll your sleeves up and just everyone on and off the pitch, they all have to roll their sleeves up and dig it out. Brentford, you've got to dig one out. We've got to dig one out. Yes, we might have Lucas Paqueta back in the side. And yes, that might give us a bit more creativity up top. But we've got more than enough creativity on the side. We've got more than enough fantastic players that we have to rely on Lucas Paqueta. Yes, he joins everything up together. But you've got Kudus, you've got Bowen, we've got Cornet off the bench, we've got JWP, we've got, Alvarez, we've got some good players, we've got Emerson, we've got some very, very good players. We shouldn't have to rely on one person. We had more than enough yesterday. Not yesterday, sorry. More enough on Saturday to have got something out of their game. I think even Nick, bless him, on Claret Booze predicted us to win, I think it was, like a shit house of 2-1 victory. We didn't even match Nick's expectations. And that's what and that's the thing that really worries me. It worries me because I can't, because, you know, I think we're in limbo as a club at the moment. And Anton said it, I think it was on Saturday night or Sunday morning. He was talking about grabbing the ball by the horns and ambition. But I think this all stems back to the decisions made last summer. We're paying for them now, really. As I said, I've said it all fucking season. There was 3 options on the table, really, in terms of what we move into this season with. One was, thank you, Mr. Moyes. You've taken us as far as you can. We're gonna let someone else have a go. One was, thanks, here we go, Moyes. He's a new contract for another 2.5 years. And one was, I'll just carry on regardless, and we'll talk about it in the summer. We've had articles. We've had articles from, we've spoken like with senior players and ex-players as well, and they want to know what's going on with the manager. It must be awful for the players themselves. Yeah, although I'm not. It seems like I'm just laying the blame on the players, but unfortunately they're on the pitch as well. But it must be awful for the players not knowing who your boss is going to be. Why play for your boss when you've got your contract's a longer lasting contract than theirs? Look at Jared Bowen. He signed. I'm not insinuating Bowen's not trying at all, but he's on a 7-year deal. Moyes when he signed it, Moyes had 7 months left of his contract. Bowen don't care if Moyes is gone. He's in the contracts, and someone else is going to come over and say, and it does frustrate me because I think that was a very critical time in terms of making a decision in terms of what's best for West Ham. And unfortunately, I think they went with what's best for business. And what was best for business was to maintain the status quo. And to some extent, on paper, you could say it's justified. The league positions we will have a better league position than we did last season. We're in European football, but the thing is, the consequence of that is the chances are, if we're obviously less than 8th, we won't be in Europe next season. We're not going to win the Europa League. Let's be honest, we're not. There's far better teams than us, and it'd be naive to assume that. And I think we were relatively naive in the first time in the Europa League, in that we managed to get our way to the semi-finals. And to be honest, we should have easily won that. Yes, we should have probably won. Yes, we should have, and we did win the Europa Conference League. We should have won the Europa League that year. End of. We'd already beaten Sevilla, who'd won the last 3 Europa Leagues, and we'd already beaten Lyon home and away. And then, Eintracht Frankfurt came and did a number on us, and they went on to win it. We'd have played Rangers in the final. We'd have probably beaten Rangers in terms of how we were playing that season. But that's gone. That's gone now. It's buts and maybes. If my auntie had bollocks, it'd be my uncle. Do you know what I mean? Now I get. Obviously, I listen to a lot of people in terms of what they were saying and getting their views, because I think that's the great thing about social media, is you can easily find out what people are thinking. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it is another thing, but at least you can understand what they're thinking. For me, I don't buy into the caretaker manager. I know it's an option, and the option's on the table, or the option could be on the table to bring in or to employ. To employ Johnny Heitinga on a caretaker basis for the rest of the season. But you don't forget that Heitinga was brought in by Moyes. Nolan was brought in by Moyes. Billy McKinney is brought in by Moyes. If Moyes gone, the chances are they're going to go as well. That's usually how it works. And even if they're not gone, the new manager the new first team coach is going to come in. He's going to bring his staff in anyway. So even if they're in limbo, even if they're caretaker managers, and the chances of you offering a full-time appointment to Johnny Heitinga, I think are relatively small, in all honesty. I don't think, and people I've spoken about how I think someone like Michael Carrick could be really good. People say he's not experienced enough, and then they're saying, I'll give it to Johnny Heitinga. The guy's only managed 12 games in Ajax or something like that in the Eredivisie. In a caretaker role, relatively successful, but he was Ajax, one of the best clubs in that division. And it's the same. And my brother, me and Tom were sitting down yesterday, my brother, and he was like, the trouble is that even as a caretaker, They're the same people who are on the training ground. They're the same people who have been talking to Moyes. The same people who make the mistakes, and the same people who have been saying to do this and that and this and that if buts and so. And in the same way that people are saying, "Who do you want?" Anyone, but Tim's. But we trust that people can make the right decisions. It's the same people making the decisions that make decisions at the moment. For me, it's got to be a clean break. If Moyes is gone, it can't be a caretaker. It has to be a clean break. Because the caretaker keeps things hanging on. It's like breaking up with your girlfriend but still being friends. It never works out. It's the same principle. It's all or nothing. You either go all in with Moyes or you clean the decks completely. And yes, there's going to be a gamble, whatever you do. Whether it is you go Moyes all in, there'll be a gamble in terms of what happens with Tim, or you go completely the other way and there's a gamble it might not work. But what I don't want to do, but then again, I don't, and I keep saying the big buts because I don't like big buts and I cannot lie. But what I don't want to be is a situation in 6 months' time where we have to get the David Moyes type character to come back and steady the ship. I'm not saying it won't happen. It might not happen, but that is always the risk of a new manager. Always, it's always there. Nothing. You never guarantee success. Never. Even if you got Pep Guardiola comes in, he might not get a tune out of these lot. You just might not. And I saw some, and it's like, as I said, we've been linked with so many bloody players. We're so many bloody managers, almost the same as the bloody players we've been linked with. This is roughly who we've been linked with. And this is not an exhaustive list. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people there who are out of contract as well. There's a lot of people who might be out of contract at the end of the season. There's a lot of people also there who are fighting for promotions for their sides or titles for their sides. Are they going to walk away immediately after? No. Whoever comes in needs to hit the ground running ASAP. If it's not this, if it's not this season, then it has to be next. Then when someone comes in at the beginning of, for next season, they need to hit the ground running. We have got a massive job on our hands. And that's regardless of whether we're in Europe again next season, regardless of where we are in the Premier League, someone's going to come in with probably half a dozen players they need to replace in terms of players out of contract, players coming to the end of their contract, the end of their usefulness, players are currently on loan. You got to think someone comes in on the 1st of June. Thilo Kehrer is probably gone. He's probably gone to Monaco because they've got very simple criteria for their loan to obligation to buy. Ben Rama, obviously Fornals has already gone. Divine and Barmer, potentially. Ogbonna, Cresswell, Soufal's all right. So that's Calvin Phillips will be gone. And that's before anyone comes in and tries to get Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus, Edson. What do you do with Zuma? What do you do with Aged? Soufal's going to be 32 next season. Emerson's 28, 29. JWP's 29, knocking on 30. Thomas Souček's 28, 29, knocking on 30. So, you've got already 6 players in a squad which is already 3 short already. Now, for some managers, they'll be really excited about the opportunity, and be able to create their own squad. But you need to have a certain mentality. And I'm looking at that list. There's a few I think who could do that job. There's a few I think who can't do that job. A few people who are too old in the tooth to be doing that job. They want to come in and just firefight. This isn't one of those roles. We need someone to come in. And again, as I said, and I'm happy to admit, I agree with Nick. Again, hell has definitely frozen over Mr. Killington. In terms of, if the decision is we're getting a new manager in, get him in now. Get the first team coach in now. If it's already set up for the summer, why wait? Well, I tell you why we wait, because it's going to cost. It's going to cost to get rid of Moyes. It's going to cost to maybe get him out of contract. But would it benefit us in terms of this season and then going into next season? I think it would. Even I think a caretaker manager comes in, unless you're someone like Trevor Brooking or someone in that ilk where you're widely respected. I can't see much difference between the players, why they would do what they're doing for Moyes to what they're doing with Kevin Nolan, in all honesty. Yes, he'll be able to galvanise them. There may be a bounce, but it's the same people, the same coaching. You might change the style of football, maybe, but I don't see much of a step change. You bring in a new manager who signed for a 2.5 year, 3.5 year deal. You've got someone to fight for. You want to keep your place. You want to get into the first team. There's some fight. There's a reason why you want to do it. There's a reason why you want to put that extra 10% in the training. There's a reason why you want to fight for that. Stretch a little bit more for that ball. And that's what we need. We need an 11 who are going to do a little more, because that's all I think you really take. A little more. We've got a bloody good squad on paper. Come the Brentford game, maybe we'll have a fully fit squad. Maybe. On paper, that squad is more than enough to finish in the top 7. More than enough. They're just not clicking. I revert back to, remember that Wolves game at London Stadium where it just clicked. I think Paqueta got 3 assists, and that showed how you can play a relatively defensive, low-blocky game, but hurt teams on the counter-attack. And that's the David Moyes system. That is his system. But we haven't got that final bit. You're not even keeping them at the other end, let alone score them in the other end. But hey, be careful what you wish for, innit? Anyway, I think I've decompressed. Now. As I said, we're still at the top half of the table. I'm still happy with that. Well, I'm not happy with it, but we're at least not flat. At least we're not Sheffield United, bottom of the league, But we are bottom of the league of this calendar year, aren't we? Unfortunately, but hey ho. -8 goal difference though. That's 20 less than Newcastle above us by 1 point. Mental, innit? Absolutely mental. When we lose badly. Anyway, peeps. Anyway, if you're new around here, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And I'm sure you will comment. And we'll definitely be doing a Russy React sometime this week, because there's been so many fantastic comments. So we'll definitely do one coming out this week for sure. We might do a short daily show, lunchtime live. A very short one, about 12 o'clockish or so. I've got some meetings at work. So I'm trying to sort of move it all around a bit. And then we'll have Hammer's headline talking about everything that's been going on with West Ham. I'm sure there's loads to talk about. And then we'll have the Academy show. It's been a relatively mixed bag for, again, sort of where last week it was the 21s didn't do well, the 18s did well. Sort of a mixed bag the other way around this week. Swings and roundabouts. But anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. We're all in it together, aren't we? West Ham through and through, aren't we? Claret and Blue through and through. And come on, you bloody Irons. Rant over.